angel songs for you. Time right now is 3:23, 23 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock, and you're listening to WSCA LP Portsmouth Community Radio. My name's Shawn Henderson, and the name of the show is Stay Tuned. Each and every week I try to bring you live in-studio guests, live in-studio musicians. Today's a little bit different because we have the New Hampshire Film Festival in town. And the film festival is always fantastic. It's the 14th annual film festival here in New Hampshire, right here in Portsmouth. Beautiful town, beautiful area, and just such a great community and a great supportive community of film and just basic art in general. That's what I love about this place. And I've already had a few interviews that have been excellent, so we're going to keep that going. We're going to keep that trend going. I'm lucky enough to be joined in the studio by Meryl Goldsmith. She is from LA. It's her first trip out here to Portsmouth, and I tell you, you picked a good weekend to come. Let me just make sure I can hear you. Make sure you're getting out over the airwaves. You don't necessarily need them. I'm going to take these off in a second. But welcome to the area.
Thanks for having me, Shawn.
Oh, I see. Glad I did that. Why is that not working? Talking to that again.
Thanks for having me, Shawn.
Oh, there you go. All right, now I'm hearing you.
All
right, perfect. I'll take those off so it's not so hot. Yeah, as I said, welcome to the area, and you picked a good week to be here, or a good weekend to be here, for two reasons. One, the weather's perfect, and the film festival's here.
Yes.
And the other time, I'm not sure if it would have been as worth it, but you are the producer. What producer, director, and everything on this documentary called The Syndrome, and being very well received. I know you're hitting the film festival circuit, and when I was told, when Crystal set up this interview, she said it's one of the more controversial films of it. And I just watched the sort of trailer teaser thing, and it does seem like it would be a little bit of a controversial issue. But first, let's just tell people what the issue is and what Syndrome is about.
Sure. The Syndrome is based on the work of veteran National Award-winning investigative reporter Susan Goldsmith, who happens to be my first cousin. And the story focuses on a team of doctors and scientists who expose the junk science behind an unprecedented criminal justice crisis that's going on right now. Mm-hmm. And the syndrome is shaken baby syndrome, the junk science. And what the doctors have found is that there are actually dozens of medical conditions that can mimic the same symptoms in the brain that shaken baby does. And unfortunately, 1,000 people are in prison right now for this when no crime actually occurred. So we're hoping the film raises a lot of awareness to all these innocent people who are in prison right now.
So now there are 1,000 people in prison. Now is it a definite that no crime was?
It's pretty much a definite. If they're just going by these three symptoms, and there's no outside signs of abuse, they're just going by these three, quote unquote shaken baby typical injuries, which are bleeding in the brain and the back of the eye. But these are very generic symptoms. Of course, I'm not a doctor, and I'm speaking on behalf of the heroes in our film who are exposing this. But they're very generic symptoms, and they found that dozens and dozens of conditions can cause this. Not only that, but if you did shake a baby with the force that they're describing, you would expect to see structural neck damage. And the doctors who have reviewed these cases have never seen any neck damage in any of the cases.
There was a gentleman on your teaser, a white-haired gentleman, that said just that, that you would see the neck damage, and in all these cases I've not seen not one.
Right.
And which is very interesting because, I just assumed as a consumer of the news that it's real,
Right.
Like probably anything else that the news is telling me, but
we all did.
Right, exactly. So you just assume that, and then you automatically judge that person, whoever would shake a baby, because of frustration or whatever it is, that that person deserves to be in prison, because they're. But it is very. It's a very interesting topic. One of the questions I have is to look at the syndrome itself, if you don't mind, is how did it even come about if it's not real? How did it get made up?
There's a man named Dr. Ayuba Maya, and he was the head of NHTSA actually, and the shaken baby proponents used his studies. He took monkeys and slammed them with a piston and created a whiplash injury. So they used his studies and said, oh, look, well, this must be cause shaken baby syndrome. And Omaya said, no, 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 you're using my study all wrong. You would see neck damage. And they said, well, we don't, they just didn't listen to him and went ahead with it, basically. And so he's also in the trailer saying that this is mythology.
Really?
And so it's based on his work.
It's based on his work, and he's saying, my work never pointed to this in the first place.
No, they got it all wrong. And he even called them up, Dr. John Caffey, he called him up and said, you misused my study. This isn't what the results were. And he said they wouldn't listen.
So what did John Caffey, I'm assuming, is a doctor or a scientist?
Yes.
What did he have to gain by coming up with this?
He was trying to find, I think he was trying to find answers for injuries that they were seeing in the babies on the inside of their brain. But I think at the time, he was actually looking at really battered children with external injuries, which this no longer is really related to shaken baby syndrome.
Right.
They say it's only in the brain, and if they see this on the MRI, it's shaken baby. So it kind of has morphed over the years, and kind of is still morphing.
So he didn't necessarily go into it to twist the science that had already existed. He was looking at kids that were actually abused.
Right, yeah, and I can't judge anyone's motives, and he's actually passed away now, so, and there was a man who he had worked with as well, Dr. Guthcouch, and Dr. Guthcouch is still alive, and he's actually retracted his statement and said that this is, he no longer goes with what he said. He said, we were looking for what to call it, and we were looking for an explanation, and we didn't have any other explanations, and now we have, thanks to MRIs, dozens and dozens of explanations for this. So,
but people still languishing in prison because of these accusations.
Yes, and there's a shaken baby group who we feature in the documentary, the proponents of shaken baby syndrome. And I think one of the most interesting parts to me is the lengths to which they go in the film to cover up the science. It's actually really shocking. So I would suggest people seeing the film for themselves, because it really, the way it unravels is mind-blowing.
So how did your cousin even get involved in this? Obviously, you said she's a reporter, and what made her decide to go down this avenue and investigate this in the first place?
So she's been doing child abuse reporting for 20 years, and she met one of the shaken baby critics. I think she happened to meet him at a trial she was at, and he told her, I've discovered this is not real, and a lot of other doctors independently have come to the same conclusion. We kind of are in contact now. So she started going down the path and really researching and studying it, and knew that she wasn't going to do it at the newspaper because they said it was too controversial, and so was kind of just studying it on the side for her own just personal interest. And I happened to call her at that time looking for stories to do a movie, and so it was just perfect timing, and I said, the truth needs to get out there, and let's do this as a documentary.
Wow.
So yeah,
serendipitous in that way.
Yeah.
So as a tell me about your filmmaking career.
So this is my directorial debut, actually. Yeah, I've been making films for probably about 10 years, but this is the first one I'm releasing and letting everybody see. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I bet it is. And you're traveling the world, and it seems
so far
to be,
just the country, but
just the country.
Yeah, but we hope to go around the world with this as well.
That's fantastic. Well, good for you.
Thank you so much.
So I'm just to get back to the syndrome. The people that are burying the science, there's been a few issues, and I'm not taking side one way or the other, but like say 9/11, they're saying, they've got all these people that are, all these architects that are saying buildings just don't fall in like that, whether, and they're talking about the science of architecture, and there's all these people that are attacking them. And global warming is probably another one. There's, people that say global warming exists, and people that say global warming doesn't exist, and they're all attacking each other. Has the people that are saying that it doesn't exist, I mean, obviously the other people are covering it up, but has there been particular attacks? You know what I mean?
Yes.
That question makes sense?
It does, and that's exactly what plays out in the film. The more the shaken baby critics are raising awareness, and the more success they have in exposing this issue, the more the shaken baby proponents are fighting back and resisting, and it plays out in the film that way. I just want to really briefly say who's in the film. It's the three doctors who we focus on. One of them is the head of pediatric neuroradiology at Stanford, and another doctor is a pediatric neurosurgeon at George Washington University and Georgetown University, And the third one is Dr. John Plunkett, who is a retired state medical examiner for Minnesota. So these really are our top doctors in their field, and they really know what they're talking about. So we're happy to have them.
Now, have you figured out why would anyone fight it? I mean, if the science is out there, why are they trying to do it? Why would they try to bury it? I mean, what are they gaining? I mean, it's based on money. I mean, I would think, someone's making some money off this shaken baby syndrome, and obviously it's more than just one person. It's a community. Why would sane people want to dispute actual science, especially if it's that clear as you say it is?
Right. I don't have an answer as to their motives. I wish I did, because it's really confused all of us. But I could say that they do have a center that does pull in millions of dollars of grant money, and I don't know if that has anything to do with them keeping their position or not, but they are firmly keeping their position, and they refuse to look at any new science at all that discredits this.
That's interesting. Well, it's usually the case. From my cynical brain is, if someone's making a lot of money, they're going to do their best to keep that away. And I haven't seen the film, and I haven't seen your, what you're saying is the science or whatever. But if it is true, I think it's an important documentary that you have out there. Has it shown yet? Here
It's
at the
not.
Film Festival?
It's showing tomorrow at 11:35 a.m. at the Music Hall Loft. So we're really excited to be
Okay,
here.
you've been around the country doing these film festivals, and how's that experience been for you?
It's been great. This is actually only our second festival.
Oh,
This
okay.
is our East Coast premiere.
Oh, yeah,
And
great.
then next weekend we're going to Minnesota. So it's been absolutely
That was the first one,
fabulous.
though.
It went well.
How did the people react?
We thought there might be protesters or something like that, but it just went really well. There was a lot of people we got a lot of questions at the Q&A saying, I was taught about shaken baby syndrome. I had no idea the science was questioned, and how can I learn more about this? And I work in social services, and I don't want to tear families apart. And so we were happy that people were willing to listen and open up, and we hope that it will help keep families together.
Right, you can change lives. Now, do you have a goal of getting some of these people out of prison? I know
yes,
that's a
we
whole
do.
nother thing. It seems like I haven't seen the film, so I'm thinking to myself there could be a part 2 of focusing on the people that have actually been convicted. Or have you done that already?
Well, in the film, we show that the doctors in our film help get some people out of prison. So far, there have been 15 exonerations, which is actually a lot considering how hard it is to get an appeal and go through that process. So, and there are hundreds more appeals going on right now of people trying to get a new trial.
Now, are any of these people that are in prison I'm assuming that, like you said at the beginning, the original science was based on kids that had been abused. So parents or guardians or whoever they were that had abused children may be in prison for abuse, whether it be shaken baby syndrome or not. But are there definite cases of people that have never been accused of abuse, have never, I'm sure they're all claiming they've never abused, but I'm trying to wrap my mind around the fact that people can be put in prison for doing something that they didn't do and never done before, based on someone that says, oh, this exists, and because that little thing happened. And it seems crazy to me.
It's, I think, the only place in the criminal justice system where a medical diagnosis could actually get you in prison, where there's no evidence of a crime, or it's just a doctor saying there's blood on the brain, therefore you shook the baby. Yes, it's pretty much, I think, the only example we've seen where a medical diagnosis.
That's heartbreaking right there, that story alone. I mean, that's amazing.
And of course, abuse is terrible, and Susan's been doing child abuse reporting for 20 years, and 2 of her stories got 2 laws passed in Oregon to better protect children who are getting abused in the foster care system. We're well aware of how much abuse is out there, and we hope the resources are properly used on those cases.
Well, you definitely don't want to take money away from people that are actually, from the real crimes that are happening, you know what I mean? And focusing on people that haven't done it.
Right, and these are different teams. These are medical child abuse teams in hospitals versus CPS kinds of, things. So.
Awesome.
Thanks
well, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations on the film. I haven't seen it, but the way you're making it sound, I want to see it for sure.
Well,
and it's happening tomorrow, right? 11:35 tomorrow at the Music Loft right here in Portsmouth. I encourage everyone to check it out, especially if you have any kind of relation to this. You know, because it goes around. I mean, I think everyone's heard of it, shaken baby syndrome. Don't shake Jake. You know, that's it. You know, and I'm assuming Jake was the first kid that ever was diagnosed with this.
I don't know.
Do you know Don't Shake Jake?
One. I think every state has kind of a different.
Everyone has that.
Pitch, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. I have to look into that then.
Yeah, you have to see this.
Right. It sounds excellent. And from what I encourage people to go to resetfilms.com, and you can see the syndrome teaser. And if that encourages you to go see it, and if this conversation hasn't done that, which it has me, I encourage you to go and check it out at the New Hampshire Film Festival. Again, the New Hampshire Film Festival is happening all weekend long. Many great films, many great documentaries. We've been chatting with Meryl Goldsmith and her cousin. What was your cousin's name again?
Susan will be there as well.
Okay, yes. Susan will be there as well. And now, are you going to take? Is there going to be a question and answer
right
type
after.
thing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Oh good. So people can
absolutely
share their thoughts, or get more information on that and ask better questions than I did, I'm sure.
This is great.
All right. Well, the time right now is 3:30. Anything else you want to add?
No. Thanks so much for listening.
Oh, God. I'm sure it's a real busy weekend for you, and a busy. Where else are you going from this film fest?
From this, we have Twin Cities Film Fest.
Okay, so those are the three that you're doing.
The three right now, and then more in 2015.
Oh, nice.
Stay
well,
tuned.
good for you, and good luck. If it's, good luck.
Thank
That's
you.
all I'm saying.
Thanks for having us.
Do you have any other projects in mind? We're talking to a lot of filmmakers, a lot of different kind of things, and you've been making films for a while. You said this is your first feature. Do you have any other projects that maybe not so deep? Or are they all that deep?
They're probably going to all be pretty deep.
Oh, yeah? Good.
Yeah, we hope to do more investigative journalism, bringing it to the documentary filmmaking world. This is all original research and reporting by Susan, so it's really the first time anyone's going to be experiencing the story in any form.
Right.
So we hope to do more of that.
So you found a good partner in
Absolutely.
crime, literally.
Yeah, my big cousin.
Right on. That's fantastic. Well, good for you, and
Thanks,
congratulations.
Sean.
And nice
Thank
to
you so
have
much.
you here.
Good to be
And
here.
let's see, I don't know. What kind of song would? How about this song's called "Fistful of Mercy"? It actually goes really well with us. So I'm gonna go to a song called "Fistful of Mercy." The band is called "Fistful of Mercy" as well. "As I Call You Down" is the name of the album. And we've been live in the studio with Meryl Goldsmith. Her film, The Syndrome, her documentary, The Syndrome, is being premiered tomorrow at 11:35 a.m. right at the Music Hall Loft right here in Portsmouth. I encourage you to come on down. It's going to be a great morning. It's a great day to spend your day watching films and documentaries right here in our great city. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sean.
All right, this is Fistful of Mercy.